question? Okay,
Sure.
thanks. A question came in from one of our audience members, and she says, as an independent contractor, so this is in relationship to the valuation you were talking about, as an independent contractor, should we only get a valuation on our things, like our shears, dryers, color, any personal professional items, like, for example, she uses a tablet with her business?
Right, and that's a very good question. And yes, if you're an independent contractor, and I tell everyone, if you're an individual, even if you're just renting a space within someone else's facility, always think of what you own, what you would own, what you would lose if you were to have a fire or a peril that's covered. So we don't want to insure on anyone's property but yours. So as an individual independent contractor, exactly right, you would just consider what belongs to you personally.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
Perfect.
Property coverage perils, we always think of fire first. That's the main one, of course. Lightning would be covered on most policies, rain, hail, and ice. Water damage, and here water damage is generally what we think about when we think about pipes breaking, toilet overflowing, things like that. Generally not flood damage when we talk about water damage. Burglary and theft. Unfortunately, this is becoming a bigger item than we used to see, so that's one of the things you want to think about when covering your stuff. Windstorm. Windstorm in Florida and some of the coastal areas can be an issue. So sometimes you'll see wind excluded, but these are just the perils that we think about when we think about property coverage. Glass breakage, as we talked about before, and then flood. Now, flood, huge issue this year, especially in New Jersey with all of our issues here. You want to think about surface water as flood. So water flowing from an ocean, a lake, that kind of thing is considered flood. You do need to have separate insurance for that. I would say most of all policies for property coverage exclude flood coverage. So that's something, especially in coastal areas, you want to think about as a separate policy. So these are the perils that we talk about when we talk about what property coverage includes. And it's very similar. I suggest you think of it in terms of a homeowner's policy or a rental property policy. The same type of perils would be involved with that are involved in property coverage policies for your business. So kind of the same thing. Okay. Kelly, we have a little true and false question here. Do you want to start this one with your poll?
Oh, perfect. Yes, I'm right with you. So we are going to just do a couple of quiz questions, and the first one that we're going to start off with, you see on your screen there, and the question says, I don't need property coverage. My landlord has insurance on the building.